What's up, YouTube? And this time I'm talking about the title. You see it is true or false. Whoever you have a child by, you're saying that's your best option. That's the best you can do. When a man gets a woman pregnant, has a child with her, he's saying that's his best option. She's his best option. When a lady gets pregnant by a man, she's saying he's the best she can do. She's he's her best option, at least for that time. And do you all agree? And you have to be honest. To all of the parents out here, if you still with the other parent, do you feel that's your best option? And to all of the people who are no longer with the other parent, you're just doing the co-parenting thing and raising the kids, do you feel that was your best option? And you got to take away all of the anger and how you feel about the person now and just go back to at that time. Was that the best you could do? Do you feel that's what it was? Because if not, then I would then ask the question, why you even starting a family with that person? Because for me, if I had a child and I tell the child's mom years later, you're not the best I can do. Child here, everything else, and child 6 years old now, and I spring that on her, where was that attitude at before we had this baby? To tell her now, 6 years later, oh, you're not the best I can do. Well, what? Why didn't I say that before me and her had the child? It's just confusing. If she were to flip that on me and tell me that same thing, I would be like, well, why we had this child here? You knew that before we had the child. Why would you say now I'm not the best you can do? And we still together, and maybe not even 6 years later, because maybe by then things just not going as well, and we on the verge of breaking up. So let's just say a year later, a year after the baby here, and the guy or the lady springing on the other one saying you're not the best I can do. We got this child. You knew that. You just didn't come to that and have a come to Jesus moment and epiphany saying, okay, light bulb went off. You're not the best I can do. If that's the case, then why do we have this son or this daughter? Now, I know people might say, after the breakup, that's not the best they can do. But at the time, and men and women have to be honest with themselves, at the time, was that person the best you can do? We about to have this child, and I'm saying go back to your first child if you got more than one. If you only got one, then just go with that. You only just got that one, and now you about to have your first child. Men and women out here. Or you're not looking at that other parent as, the best at the time. Because you're about to start this family. And if you weren't, then you weren't being honest with that person back then, and shame on you. And so once again, then we have a situation where you got men and women playing around with families, playing around with having sex. That person should be your best option, or at least one of your best options when you trying to start a family. And don't say, well, based on my location, because I've talked about that in past videos. I don't care if you live in Houston, Texas. If I take you to Orlando, Florida, you're going to get the same type of people in Houston. That's how the universe works. Different face, different name, but the same person. So I don't care what your address is. You can't tell me about location. Well, if I was living here, then I would be, you have something different. Facial features, like I said, different name, but still the same person. And so I know men who can't stand their baby mama. I know women who can't stand their baby daddy at this particular point in time. They're not together anymore. But back before the child came, was that the best they could do at the time? And, that's a question you have to ask yourself and be honest. You can even ask the person, if for the parents who listen to this and you all are still together, you can even ask, if you bold enough, ask the person you with right now, And you might feel they're the best you can do, but they may shock you with a different answer. And I don't know how many people who were together even asked that question, because if it just ended up not working out, then maybe as the years went by and situation changed, they just felt that, now I can do better. If not better, then different. Because I don't want to, we can play a lot of word salad, better, different, what have you, But just going back to, how serious it is to start a family, true or false, when a man gets a woman pregnant, is he saying that's his best option? She's his best option? And the same for the women. She get pregnant by that man, and she's saying he's her best option. He's the best she can do, at least for that time period. We can throw Anthony Edwards and Aisha Howard back into it. Are they the best each other can do at this point with that new baby that they have that was born October 2024? Anthony and Aisha have to be honest with themselves. Despite the 14-year age difference, we really have to look ourselves in the mirror and who we have a family with and say, at that time, was this the best I could do? And cut out all of the what you don't like about the person and all of that, the pros and the cons, weighing all of that. We just going straight off of, just so people have peace of mind, was you the best I can do at the time? And if you all still with them, hopefully you feel that's the best you can do. Everything is still running smoothly. You still the best, or at least one of the best that I can be with. And don't still keep staying in these relationships with people who you don't feel they're the best you can do. I know things change, but as of right now, you all still taking trips and doing this, that, and the third. Hopefully, that's the best. And I'm speaking not even to this, more so with people who got a child with the person, because that's what the title is. I mean, people who don't have children, they have more wiggle room if they don't have children with that person. Is, you all can just walk away. But for those who are parents and have their name on the same birth certificate, if you still together, be honest with yourself, and hopefully you still feel that person is, your best option. And if you feeling that way or not feeling that way before you all start a family, please, hold off. Prevent the pregnancy. Don't start a family with a person and neither one of you all, or just one of you all, think that you're my best option. It's going to fall apart. And for whatever reason, why people still go and move forward with bringing a child here, even though you don't feel this your best option, is beyond me. It's a setup for disaster. But this keeps happening. I have no idea why, but don't come back if you sit with the person now and say, I don't feel you my best option, and you're still together. That's just hurtful to the other person. I mean, well, why you have a child with me if that's not the case? And like I said, again, if you all have went your separate ways and you're doing the co-parenting, push all of the anger to the side. And if you really want to answer that question at the time, because obviously there wasn't an issue before that child came, and you all thinking, okay, this is what we want to do in terms of starting a family, that person was or was not your best option. You probably felt that they were, but you had to be honest, because obviously the answer you hear from fathers and mothers who just doing the co-parenting thing and they're no longer together, they'll say, no, that's not my best option. That wasn't my best option. And they probably speaking out of anger. Okay, that's understandable. But to say that and then go back to that time where I'm guessing things were on better terms, but you saying that wasn't your best option, so you knew that before the child, then why not prevent the pregnancy? men and women will save themselves so many headaches, especially right there before the first child comes, and just kind of weighing your options. Is this the best I can do before we start this family? Is it? And if it's not, don't move further along with having the child, because that's wrong to the other person. Because the other person may be thinking, yeah, this is my best option right now. So I want to go ahead and see how this family thing is. I'm going to roll the dice. But any man or woman going in already thinking this is not the best I can do at this time, you all need to push pause on starting a family. And I'm not saying you got to go and tell that person, that's why I'm not ready to have a child with you right now, because you're not my best option. Just say, hey, I need more time, whatever the case may be. Having a child is serious. And maybe they can become your best option. Men and women, why you don't feel that person is the best you can do. You know why. But in the past, we've still seen men and women still go ahead and have a son or a daughter with someone they don't feel is their best option at that time. I don't know if they feel they on the clock, the time is running out, he trying to be a father before this age, or whatever the case may be. I don't want to get too old, but that's not fair to the child once again. And before the child, it's not fair to the person who you're about to start the family with. And so again, you playing around with emotions, and you playing around with family, you playing around with children. And that's not cool for whichever woman or man that's out here doing that, not telling that person they're with up front that, they don't feel. Like I said, you don't even got to say you don't feel they're the best option. A child is going to tie you all permanently together, so just hold your horses and wait a minute and see if things improve where you feel, okay, this will be a good option to start a family with. She's saying he will be a good option. He's saying she will be a good option. And that way we don't have so much of this turmoil with men and women. It's just, so much. And then on the second part of this, when you all do go in like that and start a family, and then obviously it's not going to work out because one of you all, if not both of you all, feel you're not the best option. So eventually it's going to fall apart. And you'll be doing the co-parenting. Then you're going to start dating again. And then you'll be bringing a third person in. And a fourth person, because dad gets someone, mom gets someone. Then you got children involved. And now you got this other person. I mean, I don't know if you even feel they may be a better option. They just may be the rebound. And they trying to love you and love your children. That may, all that takes time. And, you just creating all of these blended families that didn't even have to be. Had you all, if that's how you feeling, knew up front, hey, I don't feel you my best option, and just hold off on having a child. No need to rush into any of this, because it just causes a war. The gender war, they call it, is still going on. I've heard people tell me it's no gender war, but you could have fooled me. There's too many TikToks and Instagrams out here of men and women regretting their choices. And then you got men throwing women under the bus and women throwing men under the bus. So there's no middle ground, and so that's a war. And this gender war has been going on a long time. Anthony Edwards and Aisha Howard situation is just the latest. And so, and you all, playing around with these children. You got children that don't need to be in the situations that they're in. You all could have held off. Maybe that child could have been born to a man and a woman who understand their roles and understand, okay, this is a really good option for me. Let's do this. 'Cause I don't know what the rest of you all are looking for beyond who you already around, and looking for people who you can attract because you don't want to change yourself if that is what you indeed want, whatever that is. I don't know if people even know what they want all the time, but a child is very important. And so, it's an honest question. I gave it a true or false. And all of the parents out here have to be honest with themselves, mothers and the fathers. Is the person who you had your child with your best option, at least for that time? And that person may still be your best option based on who's come after. But again, who comes after is still going to be similar. You're still just going to get a different aspect of you. And so they may be a little bit better, maybe a little bit under, but I don't think anybody's going to attract anybody who's just way off. And way off don't necessarily mean that they just don't have nothing going on for themselves. Way off just mean this just ain't you. I mean, you probably like their style, but it doesn't fit you. You wish it could. But you haven't done enough of your inner work, your shadow work, to even be able to get someone like that. Yeah, you can get in the same vicinity of that person, and say a hello, but you all will never be sitting in the backyard together. Energy not there. But I'm guessing some type of energy was there with the person you got a child with. And if you knew before the child that I don't think this is my best option, shame on you, ladies and gentlemen, who went forward with that. And now you tasked to this person, and it's over, and you just co-parenting, but you all are in each other's lives for the rest of it. And all of this can be avoided. And everybody knows this, but I don't know. It's a generational thing, and Anthony Edwards, he's Generation Z. Them people born 1998 on. And so he repeating the same mistakes with generations before him have done. Now Aisha, she's millennial, she my generation. She's repeating the same mistakes, or let's just say at this point continuing it on, because we got a generation after ours that's here, that's Generation Z. And I just don't understand what's going on. Then you get the courts involved and all of this other stuff that come with having a child if things go down the drain. And you really don't want to deal with that. But hindsight is 20/20, and really just take a look back and see if the person you had your first child with, we'll just start there, was the best you could do at that time. And may still be the best that you can do if you just go down everybody who's come after that. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. They may be solid people, stuff just didn't work out. But you got every other man and woman out here who just feels that, man, there's something better over my shoulder. And that's fine to think that way. But if you were thinking like that before that first child came, you should have held off on starting a family with that person. And if you both felt like that, then you both should have held off. Maybe there was no communication there, so you all just both went forward with having this child. Because in the back of your mind, you thinking they feel like I'm the best that they can do, and that other person feeling the same thing. So you all go into this thing blindfolded. And then eventually time tells on you, and the true intentions come out, and you just feel like, with the child and this person and everything just snowballing, you really just go back to that first instinct you had before the child got here, that, no, I think there was somebody better. Now, why you went ahead with the child, I think people just not being honest with themselves, don't know how to be honest with themselves. And so if you can't do that, then you don't really know how to put into words what you want. But this is crazy out here. This whole Anthony Edwards and Aisha Howard situation should not be going on. It's not just them two going through it. It's other people right now going through it. That shouldn't even be going on. But going back to what I just said, before you start a family, to everybody else out here who's not a parent yet, make sure that person is the best you can do at that time, and be honest with yourself. I'm not saying it's going to work out. It might go south. But for that time, hey, this is my best option. And that helps if you actually feel that. But please, to all of the non-parents out there, ask that question just to yourself. You don't have to ask the other person. If you have to ask the other person, then that's probably not the best option you can do. And if you feel it's not the best, then hold off on starting the family, see how things go. And if you're not seeing the boxes checked that you want, then you just go your separate ways, just walk away. But don't have no son or daughter knowing in the back of your head that you don't feel this person is your best option at this time. Now for the current parents, obviously it's too late. Teach your children that. The non-parents, if you want kids before you start with that first one, make sure you know in your heart that that's the best you can do. It'll make the family turn out a lot better. Things will run a lot smoother. And then it'll just be peace of mind. And, it'll be a actual honest family and not something that you all just started, I guess, for fear of missing out or getting too old. I don't know. But then this is ridiculous. And then all of this does is create broken homes, things like that. Feelings get hurt. People running around years later, making Instagram and TikTok videos, regretting who they got a child with and things like that. We need less of those videos. We can't keep still making the same mistakes and people venting about things, lessons that should have been learned. Kids suffer the most in all of this. Extra money gets spent that doesn't need to be spent on lawyers, whatever the case may be, court costs, or just the fact that you didn't want to shouldn't be having a family with this person, and so now you spending money on stuff for a child that should be with another couple, not you two. So yeah, we have to get it together. Generation Z already making the same mistakes. I think the generation after them is called Alpha, Generation Alpha. They're not old enough to be parents yet. Maybe we can start to turn around with them. Wishful thinking, I know, but it has to change. And so why not change it with the people who not old enough to be parents yet, and just show them some examples and really steer them in the right direction in terms of, adulthood, what it means to be a parent, and, being a fully functional adult in this world. So use some common sense and use your best judgment, and who's the best for you, maybe. But if you're unsure, just hold off on the baby and then see where that takes you, if things line up the way you want, or if you just need to walk away. So anyway, that's enough for this. Answer that question, true or false, out to my current parents. Is the person that you had your first child with, when you had your first child, that person will just start right there at the beginning? Was that the best you can do? At least at that time. And be honest. So let me know down in the comments what you all think. And, be honest with any of your comments. Be honest with anything that you put down there to answer this question. And then, hey, you might inspire somebody else to, really rethink things so they don't make the same mistakes that you did. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Facts of Feelings, all one word, no spaces. Put that in a YouTube search and my channel comes right up. And I'm out.